So I'd love to start today with just a little hint for you about the agenda. We're going to have in a moment an opening circle, and that's when we're going to start recording. And it's really an introduction why we gather. I'm going to introduce each specialist, and she is going to offer her pearl of wisdom that we've been calling it. This way that each of us have been, who are presenters, have been living our lives in a way that feels really healthy, that is nourishing, that gathers more light and wisdom, and that continues in some of us perseverance, some of us thriving. And then you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. We'll open the floor for Q&A because this is an interactive gathering. It's sort of talk show style, retreat style, but all of us together carry the breadth of wisdom that we all need. No one of us has all the answers, but together we carry the opportunity for everything that's needed. So here we go. I first want to introduce you to Leanne. She is our tech holder of Sacred Space. And if you could wave to everyone, Leanne. She's in Nashville, Tennessee, and she considers her true vacation to live fully into the questions of life and use what she's learned to encourage, uplift, and inspire others. She's a trained soul collage facilitator and holds certifications in spiritual direction and dream work from the Hayden Institute. She believes in the healing power of images and metaphor and uses dream work, poetry, and a variety of intuitive creative practices to help others connect to divine wisdom. Currently, through her business called Fresh Canvas Creative LLC, she helps organizations like Soul Collage Inc. in 49 countries and individuals like me, I don't know how she has the time to do it, committed to bringing transformation and healing to the world by supporting me and you all as you see her today. Leanne, because you're holding the tech space, you've been quiet on our calls. I'm wondering if there's anything you want to share with the group today.
No, I'm just really glad that to be here and be a part of this. And, I think it's a great thing that Lisa's doing. It's such a generous offering of service, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of it. So thank you.
I told her to say that about me.
Yeah.
Okay, our first panelist is Janelle McNeal. She's Dr. Janelle McNeal. She's a licensed psychologist in Lexington, Kentucky, and she specializes in working with entrepreneurial women. She understands the pressure and stress that comes along with owning your own business because it's easy to be consumed by your work and to struggle to balance work with all the other areas of your life, especially if you're a mother. She says that she loves to work with clients to figure out what's going well in their lives and in addition, what causes stress so that she can assess your goals, your to-do list, strengths and feelings, and then come up with a game plan to get people into a better place. She is my good friend and my co-pilot, my radio show co-pilot from years ago, and I'm so thrilled that she's here now to join me week after week after week. We have a changing panel every week, except Janelle and Leanne are my always co-pilots. So thank you again, Janelle, my beloved Janelle, for being here week after week with me. What is it that you would like to offer participants today?
Well, first of all, thank you, Lisa, for having me. It's always so good to be with you, whether I can touch you or not. It's just so good to be in your presence. So Lisa sent me a text this week and she said, "What's the gem? What's the pearl of wisdom that you have today?" So I thought, okay. And I thought, maybe I'll think of the pearl of wisdom I should have for myself today, and maybe that will relate to other people. But I would say that the thing that has been coming up for me, and as well as actually my clients that I've been working with this week, one of the biggest things that have been coming up is unreasonable expectations. So I am finding that me, as well as other people, are wanting to pretend that a pandemic is not happening right now, and that we can go on as usual, and that we are just going to forge through this, and we're going to be strong, and we're going to be warriors, and you know what, we should still be able to do all the things that we would regularly do during our lives. And to be totally honest, I think a lot of us, even during normal times, have too high of expectations for ourselves. So we are holding ourselves to a certain standard across the board, whether that's our relationships, our work, our homes, um, our health, our exercise, our spiritual lives. We're holding ourselves up to this really high expectation and feeling like we need to be the best that we can be because we want to do everything that we can for the people that we care about so much and who really are relying on us in a lot of different ways. So what I was saying to Lisa is that we are having unreasonable expectations, or sorry, we need to have reasonable expectations during this unreasonable time. That is the main thing that I'd like to say. We need to give ourselves a break. We need to be reasonable. And Lisa also mentioned that several of us are mothers. And I actually was just speaking with a mother this week, and she was saying how she's having all these feelings and she feels like she needs to hold it together for her children so that her children have this sense that everything is fine and everything is good. And we kind of pulled those pieces apart, and I wondered, is that actually good for your children? For you to pretend as though everything's fine and for you to be working like a duck underwater, paddling, 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 trying to work so hard in order to make things seem like everything's fine and everything's the same. I was wondering if it might actually be better for them to see that you are experiencing different emotions. There are things going on in the world right now that are not usual, and that you feel those emotions, but you have the wherewithal to handle your emotions. So you're allowed to feel the emotion that you feel, experience it fully, and then sit back and think, now, what is it that I can do? Do I want to stay in this emotion? Have I let it express itself, and have I let it go ahead and reveal itself to me in the way that it needs to? But is it somewhere where I'm choosing to stay, or would I like to be able to use that emotion for good? And so I talked with her about allowing her children to see her grief, allowing her children to see her sadness, her fear, her anxiety, just her anger. There's a lot of anger going on right now, her frustration, right? We're all feeling just a wide variety of things that sometimes we label as bad or negative feelings. So I allowed her to think about that, allowing her children to see how she things, and then has a way to work through them so that her children see her when the feeling arises, they see her experience the feeling, and then they see her soothe herself and help herself and work herself through that feeling, and then they can discuss that on the other. You know what? That reminds me of me on Tuesday. Remember on Tuesday how upset I was? And boy, I was really going through a hard time. And so,
And Janelle, and what would you say to the 20-somethings in our gathering today who aren't aren't having to screen their emotions for others in their professional, even in their professional lives? But
mhm.
what kind of approach should they consider with whatever's going on in their own emotional, spiritual world?
Right. Well, we often think 20-year-olds are not screening their emotions for anybody. 20-year-olds are screening their emotions for their parents, right? And for the other people in their lives that they want to make it appear as though everything is fine and that they're doing well and really I'm okay. So this kind of fits for everyone. It depends on who you're putting a mask on for. But most of us are putting a mask on for somebody, whether we intentionally do that or don't intentionally do that. So regardless, this same advice works across the board, whether you're 90, whether you're 9, any advice. Most of us are concerned about the feelings of others, and we worry that we might be upsetting people more than they're already upset. So I guess that would be my advice, is to let people know, be honest about it and say, yep, right now I am anxious, or right now I am frustrated, or I'm any sort of feeling that you're feeling, and then say, but I felt like this before. And what I tell my children all the time is, what are my children, my clients, my friends, I tell everybody this, what are feelings like? They're like clouds in the sky. They come and they go. right? So we get all caught up when we have a feeling that we label as negative. We, for some reason, always think that's how it's going to be forever. I am upset right now, and I'm going to be upset for a good, 6 months straight. I'm never going to be happy again. It's just a weird thing that our brains do. But in reality, we're upset for maybe 10 minutes at the most. That's kind of a long time if you actually time it. Then we move into a different form of being upset, or something funny happens and we laugh, or we have that lovely Steel Magnolias moment where we laugh through our tears.
And I have a question too. I wonder if it makes sense for each of us to consider who it is that we're honest with. Because in a polite culture, we ask each other, how are you doing? Not everyone really needs to know the details of how you're feeling. Not everyone should be or can be trusted with the honesty and breadth of your own experience. So is that a consideration here, Dr. Janelle McNeal?
I think it is a consideration, but I think as a society as a whole, we need to be more open and honest about what's happening. I think that's one of those things where we might catch ourselves saying, I'm fine, things are good, everything's great, and then think, what would have been different if you had said instead, you know what, I'm mainly doing fine, but every once in a while I'm having a rough time here, I'm part of this too. And then maybe that could help you connect better with that other person. It keeps the relationship from being quite so surfacey if that's not really what you want. And instead, that person might think, oh my gosh, you're like me. You understand me. I too am going through something. And then you can have that conversation. Unless it is like you just want to have a quick like, hey, how you doing? Good. How are you? That's allowed, right? That's allowed to do that. But I think it's something for us to be aware of when we are doing that, and for what reason. Are we doing that to protect the other person? Or are we doing that to protect ourselves?
I love that internal question. What is my purpose here?
Yes.
What is my purpose in sharing what's going on?
Yes.
Yes, I love that. That's a wonderful way to stay conscious. For me, I know it works most of the time.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I want to open the floor now for people who might have questions for Dr. McNeal, and what you can do to raise your hand. I'll let Leanne explain that to you. Unmute yourself though, Leanne.
All right. Okay. So yeah, just go to the bottom of your screen where you see all those menu items from mute all the way, down to share your screen.
You may need to hover your mouse down there to pull up your dashboard.
Yeah, the participants will be able to do that. Hover over to get your dashboard. You'll be able to see an icon for participants. That will bring, if you click on that, that will bring up a participants window. You can find yourself in that list, and if you hover over yourself, you should be able to raise your hand. And I will call on you and unmute you when it goes in the order that the hands were raised. So.
Yes, so I want to invite you here to share something that resonates with you about what you heard, or specifically ask a question. You've got the doctor here. This is really an opportunity to...
Or even if it's not a question, it's just, we're just chatting, right?
Just chatting.
Even if you're like, you know what, that makes me think of this, then
yes, absolutely.
Feel free to jump on in.
Good. Annie, or it looks like Tanya has her hand raised.
Hi, thank you so much, Dr. Janelle.
Hi.
I appreciate, because what you're talking about is emotional diversity, correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
having the emotions you need to have at the moment, and sharing that. If you can't share it with somebody else, you share it with yourself, so those emotions can dissipate and not persist. What we resist persists. I guess one of my questions is, I was in New York during 9/11, and I understood clearly from that experience that fear is viral and calm is viral.
Yes.
Too, right?
Yes.
And so my intention for walking throughout the city is having an intention of a connection to a stranger every day. That was my personal spiritual assignment. And I think I try to do that now more than ever with this pandemic, reaching out to people, 1 or 2 people a day.
I love that.
That means something in my life, or even a stranger, just, talk about that. So I think what I'm asking, or maybe I'm just commenting, is that balance of having emotional diversity and also having intentional calmness in your life too. So you're spreading that, you're spreading peace, you're spreading love. But for me, I have to start with myself first, right? I have to do those spiritual practices that fill me up so that I have an overflow, and that then I can give. I can't give out of my reserves, but I can give out of my overflow.
That's right. I love that. And I try to do that. I try to start every morning. I'm super intentional about what comes in my ears. I don't look at the news immediately when I get up in the morning. I have a good, for the most part, about 2 hours before I'm touched by the outside world. And it's for that reason. I have found that it makes a huge difference to me if I can fill myself up. And what I found is that, especially now, I need to fill myself up frequently throughout the day. Just the morning time, like I can't just pray and do meditation in the morning and think I'm good, right? And listen to like a good podcast that fills me up. I can't. Before, that was kind of good enough, at least for a while, depending on the stage of my life, right? But right now, it's like, okay, every hour on the hour, I need to start, I need to like just, again, drink some water, get up, move around, be really, really a very big steward of what is going on for me emotionally, what's going into me. I'm just being extremely careful about what I'm taking in and when I'm taking it in, and how that's affecting me.
Janelle, are you referring to news? Are you referring to external conversations? In what ways are
well,
you?
I live in a house with 3 other people, 2 of them children, so it's not.
That's okay. She's a little frozen there.
But definitely news. I try not to check my email, and I try not to check I try not to look at any sort of news or anything like that for not as long as I can, but for sure that I just have a routine in the morning that I really try hard to stick to the best that I can.
Yes.
And so I would say, but especially the news, I'm just super careful right now of what's going in my head.
So I hear you being a conscious participant, both Tanya and Janelle sharing here, a conscious participant in your own health and well-being, in your own medicine, in the cultivation of the medicine of your day. So I love that. Thank you, Tanya. Tanya, tell us where you're from. This is your first time joining us?
Yes, I'm from Oviedo, Florida, which is around the Orlando, Central Florida area.
I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure, pleasure. So if you wouldn't mind, mute yourself now.
Okay.
And Janelle, you might do that too. And you'll have plenty of time to ask questions again later, ladies. I see a lot of hands raised, and I love, love, love that you have something to say. I'm going to move on to our next panelist, Emily Miller, and we'll open the floor up again. And then after Erin presents, she's our third panelist, then we'll have also, again, another opportunity for conversation. So along the lines of thinking about what's best for self, and sometimes having to edit for others, but also having arms open wide for others as a giver. Emily Miller is in Indianapolis, Indiana, and she's been an elementary school teacher for children in underserved communities since the beginning of her teaching career in 2016. I know it was 2016 because that's when her father and I stopped paying tuition for college, and she became a professional all on her own. Lady, her beloved pup and co-teacher, is a therapy dog who helps children achieve and maintain emotional regulation in the classroom at Global Prep Academy in Indianapolis. It's a Spanish-English immersion school. Teaching first grade this year, Emily and Lady are creatively converting and adapting their curriculum to suit the virtual platform and home learning without virtual access for some of her students, so that every child is reached and attended, especially in this time of quarantine. Hi, honey. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks, Mom.
So your stories of the whole reason that we gather in this virtual circle is to take a break from everything else going on in our lives. When we women gather, we speak a language that we truly understand, that we don't have to filter ourselves emotionally. And your stories about Lady and the way that she affects the kids in your class are always so inspiring to me, as well as all the details of how your children adapt. They come from such challenging circumstances, but they're so adaptable. So I know that you have some little pearl of wisdom for all of us adults here about what goes on in your classroom.
Well, I like what you said about the kids being adaptable, because the same can be said for Lady. So a little bit of background on her. She was with some bad owners. We think she was abused and hit and not really well taken care of. And she ended up running away. And my current boyfriend, his college friends wanted to adopt a dog. So they went to the animal shelter. And when they got her, she was really skittish. She kept running away from them for a while, and then for a couple of years was living in a frat house, which didn't help her anxiety because, you know, they had lots of people over all the time. And her owner ended up going to the Navy, so he had his mom take care of her, but she didn't get along with the other dogs in the house. So sadly, she for a whole year was just locked in a room and didn't really get much attention or love or time outside. So her owner, who's in the Navy, asked us, he knew we wanted a dog, and so he asked us, he said his mom wasn't really taking care of her and he wanted her to have a good home. So he asked if we would want her, and my boyfriend already loved her from college, so we said yes since we wanted a dog. And when we first got her, it was 2.5 years ago, and she was really, really fat and depressed. And so we gave her lots of love and exercise, and slowly her anxiety lessened and lessened. But what I really found amazing about Lady was that she was so good for me, therapeutically. I would lay down and she would just kind of crawl on top of me and was really comforting. She's really soft, love people despite being treated poorly by people. So I was really feeling like, wow, this is just a natural therapy dog. And being a teacher in a low-income community, I'm always thinking about what can I do to help my kids. They need lots of love, attention, and a lot of emotional regulation, because when you're just going by on surviving, you don't learn social emotional skills. So being the teacher that I am, I was teaching kindergarten at the time. I was always trying to think of ways to help my kids with their social emotional growth. And since Lady was helping me, I made the bridge, the connection, well, maybe she can help my students. So luckily I've got this really awesome principal. She's really innovative and always interested in trying new things. And so I asked her if they'd be interested in having a therapy dog, and she was really excited about it. So I took Lady to therapy dog classes, and the amazing thing was she graduated in 3 weeks. They said she was a natural born therapy dog. She barely needed any training. And then I started taking her into the classroom. I was worried about her being a big distraction or how the kids would treat her, but we practiced for a couple weeks before I brought her in. We practiced how to pet dogs and how to treat them. And I taught them what they'd be using Lady for, so they knew if they were feeling sad or really angry or any kind of emotions they couldn't handle, that's what she was there for. I also made her a tool for reading. So kids have, a lot of times when kids are having struggle learning how to read, a big part of it can be confidence. And reading to animals is really great because animals can't judge you. So they feel really comfortable reading to Lady, and it builds their confidence in reading. So when she first came to the classroom, it was really exciting for the first couple of days, but then she sort of just became a part of the classroom, and she cuts tantrums in half, and she's really just become a part of the school environment, and they use her when they're sad, they use her when they're angry.
And by use, you mean they call her over, or you bring the kids over to her and they share some space quietly?
Well, she's learned that when we're doing whole group, she's not supposed to be on the carpet with us because she's a distraction. So she'll have her own little place in the room. And if they ask if they can spend some time with her, I'll just say, yep, go over and sit with her. And they'll just sit with her. She puts her head on them in their lap. They could just pet her, and it calms them down so fast.
And then tell us what happened in the last year that opened your eyes about adaptability even more.
Well, it was really sad. In the fall, we found out that Lady had cancer, and treatment for that was going to be really expensive. So for a bit, I didn't know if we were going to go through with getting radiation or whatever, which is what we ended up doing. But I had to talk to the kids about it because I wanted to prepare them in case anything happened. And they also knew she was out of school for a couple weeks and was having nosebleeds. And so I got all kinds of questions about what's cancer. And one of the kids asked, Miss Miller, I get nosebleeds. Does that mean I have cancer too? So there was some learning opportunity there to learn about what that means. But they said some really sweet things. And I think one of the cutest things I heard them say was, well, some of them were really sad. I'm going to miss Lady. I don't want her to die. They wanted to know how long she was going to be around. But one of the kids said, I don't know if Lady's going to be around for a long time, but we have to enjoy her while we have her here. So that was kind of the attitude that the kids had about it, just really appreciating her and enjoying her while we have her, while she's around. She's probably got about a year or two left, but I mean, she's doing really well, has lots of energy, still loves going to school, misses going to school now.
Emily, how has this diagnosis affected the way you and Carrie, your partner, your life partner, how has it affected your ability to stay present in the moment with her, and if at all with other things unrelated to Lady?
Well, we know our time with her is not going to be very long. That's kind of what happens when you adopt an older dog, and we kind of knew that, we wouldn't have as much time with her as a puppy. But what I think about a lot is that we're giving her the best years of her life. She had kind of a hard life before. So I think knowing that we're giving her lots of love and making her comfortable and happy. And
what does that do for you?
I mean, that's a good feeling. I think there's a lot of people out there who foster and adopt older dogs, and it's a different kind of experience because you don't have as much time with them, but they're also older and more mature, and you don't have to worry about them tearing up your stuff, but you get lots of cuddles and love. And So we've just really been really appreciative for the time that we have with her, especially because she's such a special dog. And so we try to utilize her, have her help other people as much as possible, and enjoy her as much as possible.
It's sort of the way parents feel when together they share the caretaking of children, or a couple who offers something to the community, neighbors, or there's this, it sounds like there's this shared project and focus and love for something outside. It seems like today is all about relationships. I want to open the floor. Raise your hand if you have a resonance with something Emily offered, or a question for her about the classroom experience.
I love teaching, and if you guys have questions or you want resources about what to do with your kids in this time, I have answers to those as well. I know I have a master's in early childhood education, so I know a lot about that, and I've taught pre-K through first grade, so I'm happy to.
Thank you, Emily. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have a question for Emily. Okay. And it may percolate, and you may ask your question or speak your resonance later.
Tanya, were you raising your hand again?
Hold
on. Okay, I'm sorry.
I just want, oh my God, she's beautiful. I wanted to say really quickly, Emily, I just so applaud you for making that bridge between Lady and your children. Like, Lady her experience aligns to your students' experience. She can have the love and the care and the empathy, like the deep, deep empathy for your children, and your children know to their souls, to their hearts, that she understands. So I think it's just amazing, amazing work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Barbara.
I'm going to try not to cry. That was so beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just really wanted to say what Tanya kind of said too, was that really is such beautiful and sacred, deep work that you were doing with those children. And I just really applaud you for that. And, Lady came into your life for a reason. This was her path too. This was her journey to find her way to you and those children. So it just really touched me. I used to do therapy dog work. I'm a huge animal lover, and I understand that bond very, very deeply. So thank you for what you're doing. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. And again, we'll have time for more Q&A and resonance chat at the end. I want to encourage all of you to participate now for a moment. So we'll take a break here and find your chat box in the dashboard of your Zoom screen. Click on it, and on the right side of your laptop will pop up an opportunity for you to type how you're feeling right now. So we're about halfway through our gathering. I want you to just feel what's going on with you. We've been talking about feelings. We've been talking about adaptability and relationships. So what are you feeling right now? What's going on? Grateful, hopeful, content, inner peace and joy. My heart is ready to burst because this is what life is truly about. Resourced and connected. I'm feeling deep gratitude. I'm feeling joyous, reflective, more connected, less alone. I'm feeling validated. I'm happy. I'm feeling emotional. Good. I'm glad you're acknowledging what you're feeling. I'm feeling grateful, warm and happy in my heart. Just nice to see other faces who I don't know and see their smiles and heads nodding. It's really nice. Lovely, beautiful. I'm glad. I feel this is resonating. I feel warm. Beautiful. So you can exit out of the chat box if you want by clicking up at the top. And you'll have an option to close. And then you can go back to your gallery view if you'd like to see everyone again. I'll go over that detail. We have 45 people from around the world on the call today, and you should be able to have about 5, 10, 15, 25 people on your screen at the time. You can scroll to the right in your left blue scroll arrow and see the others who may not be front and center on your screen right now. I want to, as you're feeling what you're feeling, encourage you to get even more comfortable in your chair. Really root down, let your chair support you. And everyone, because you're muted, you can take a nice deep breath with an audible sigh here. Let's do that together. Audible sigh, good. Let yourself relax. Lovely. Oh, I love to see people relaxing. And again, nice slow inhale. Slow deep exhale. With the exhale, your shoulders relax down and away from your ears. And feel your feet here. Feel your seat. Even if your feet are propped up on an ottoman, feel your seat. Feel your seat. That is your connection with Mother Earth below, your feet and your seat, your whole body. Good. Nice, slow, deep inhale. We'll do 3. Hold at the top of your inhale if you like. Last week, if you were with me, you learned Kambaka, that pause at the top, and exhale when you're ready. It takes so little to get comfortable and to really feel the depth of your emotional being combined with your physical body. Okay. Good. So let's go to Erin. Bring yourself back here to our gathering space after those lovely 3 deep breaths, my friends, all my friends. Here's Erin. Erin, you're feeling a little sideways, I think, because you're sideways on my screen. There you are. Yes. So.
Oh, that is that better?
Yes. Here is the gorgeous right side up, Erin Smith, my good friend of, I was thinking about it, I think 10 years. 10 years, Erin Smith has been my friend, and I'm so happy to call her my friend. She's in Winchester, Kentucky, and she wants everyone to make friends with intentional breathing, eating real food, moving our bodies, and hitting the pillow a little earlier for a purposeful existence. Erin Smith is the published author of Sensible Wellness for Women. She is a newspaper columnist, and in 2008 was named Newspaper Columnist of the Year. She's a yoga teacher, a mindfulness coach, and the host of the Om Channel, an online yoga and mindfulness channel through Vimeo. She developed and implemented the B Project, a science-based mindfulness school program currently in use in Central Kentucky. And when she's not standing on her head, symbolically and literally, or typing on her trusty laptop, you'll find her reading voraciously, playing guitar, listening to podcasts, hiking in the woods, and enjoying a glass of bourbon, snuggling on the couch with her favorite people and pets, and being a kind friend and mentor to other mind-body health people in our community and beyond. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks so much for having me, and hello, everybody. So when Lisa asked me what pearl of wisdom I wanted to bring, that intro makes me sound really great, right? Like, so I know you guys are expecting this amazing truth bomb, but here's the thing. I had a conversation with Lisa maybe about a week or 2 weeks ago, and she said, I can't stop creating. I am just in this amazing place of creative output. Everything feels great. She's thriving right now. I'm surviving. And they're both equally valid ways to process this collective trauma that we are all going through, right? So I loved what Janelle said about expectations, because I have really been leaning into the idea of giving myself a break. My parents were longtime meditators. I've meditated pretty much every day of my life. And since COVID started, it's the first time that I truly remember not being able to sit quietly and explore my thoughts with curiosity. So it's been a really interesting experience as a mindfulness coach to lean into. So if you are thriving right now and you are feeling grateful and resilient and hopeful and curious and all those really great prefrontal cortex things, you do you, girl, and awesome. If you're not, I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with you, that you are designed this way, right? So we really have three brains. We have the reptile brain, we have the animal brain, and then we have our more sort of evolved prefrontal cortex, right? The human part of us. Well, we are being bombarded every second of every day with millions of bits of sensory information. And most of that we're never even going to be consciously aware of. Most of it is going to that reptile brain. And left alone, the reptile brain's only job is to look for threats to our survival. And so everywhere we look is a threat. I was thinking that my dad was a dentist. He is now retired, but for the 50 years he worked, people constantly told him, I love you as a human being, but I hate the dentist. I'm terrified of the dentist. And so many people have this experience of the dentist with the mask and the gloves causing fear, right? So many people had that experience of seeing someone in a gown with a mask and gloves on. That was the time they were in the ER with that broken arm. That was the time they were in that car crash. And maybe some of us have not made that connection, that now when we go to Target, when we go to Kroger, that is telling that brain, oh my gosh, we're going to die right now. So how do we get out of that, right? How do we get from just surviving into thriving? Because as Janelle and I think Tanya maybe from Florida, as you guys were talking about, we can't give if the cup is empty. So how do we charge our batteries? So one thing that I have really leaned into, and I'm going to lead you through this practice in a minute, is something I call Take 10, which is just 10 intentional breaths. Neurobiologically, if we can sort of stay out of the story of an emotion, the emotion itself, the lifespan is about 90 seconds. So really 1 or 2 minutes of deep breathing can make a huge difference. That 10 minutes that Janelle was talking about, that's when we're still metabolizing all the stress hormones and we're processing the story of the feeling, not the actual feeling itself, right? So instead of my 20-minute daily meditation practice that has always been such a part of my identity, I gave it up. And instead, I have been leaning into the idea of taking 10 really mindful, deep breaths every single time that I wash my hands. And I live with a front liner, so I wash my hands a lot. When I take 10 intentional breaths, it charges my batteries. Because if my batteries are not charged, I'm going to live in that reptile brain. But if I charge my batteries, I go into that place where the good stuff happens. This is what I say is charge. So when we charge our batteries, we move into curiosity, hope, assurance, resilience, gratitude, and empathy. When we are living in fear, it sends us into scarcity, which is just another name for fear, right? We start hoarding the toilet paper, that scarcity mindset. There's not going to be enough toilet paper. It's a really easy jump from there's not enough toilet paper to I'm not enough. So I've got to move out of scarcity and into these things that are infinite. My emotional energy is finite, but the more I lean into charging my batteries with mindful breathing, these things don't run out. The more empathy I give myself and others, the more empathy I have to give, right? we know that in the short term, it makes us feel better. And in the long term, I'm literally laying down neurons, brain cells in that part of the brain where those awesome things live. So I would love it if you guys would just take 10 with me. So as Lisa said, get real rooted. Sometimes it even helps to get your feet on the floor. I say a lot in my yoga classes, like just be where your feet are, right? This body right now. If you are someone who does not process trauma easily, I do not want you to close your eyes. I want you to look at that little clear story window right there in my yoga studio, back behind my head. If you know that closing your eyes feels like a safe and comfortable place, then you can close your eyes. And we're going to take a big ol' inhale through our nose. Everybody's muted. This first one, open your mouth, audible exhale. And then we're going to seal the lips. And if it feels okay, we're just going to start to notice our breath coming and going, coming and going. There's no wrong way to do it. The next time that you breathe in, count 1. Hover in the pause if you want. Let the exhale be whatever it is. When you inhale again, that's 2. And I just want you to count 10 breaths. Lose your place, start over. It doesn't matter. Keep counting, but maybe notice if it's possible to slow it down or smooth it out. Maybe, maybe not, doesn't matter. You're doing it right, I promise. That's about halfway for me. Keep counting, relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. One more big inhale, and then open the eyes. If you got to 15, rock on. If you got to 8, rock on. This is a practice that goes with you. You don't need any special equipment. Doesn't matter where you are or who you're with. Your lungs are there with you. So 10 intentional breaths every time you wash your hands. You'll be really surprised how quickly you make that a habit and how it really might impact your life in a positive way.
Erin, you truly capture for us this week this full recipe of what it means to be emotional beings, that some of us are uplifted, some of us are struggling, some of us in between, some of us finding our way through both ends of the spectrum. Really is the full spectrum of human experience. Thank you for, again, reinforcing how important it is to just pay attention to exactly where it is that we are. Just be conscious of it, not necessarily having to do anything with it, but at least there's always an option that if there's a desire to feel better, we can practice something like this. I have to do this every morning for myself. Sometimes when I'm excited, I am also overcome by rapid breathing, even if I'm excited for positive reasons. I'm looking forward to something. My central nervous system can really become unregulated and I'm really ungrounded and floating floaty, that's when accidents can happen. For me, sprained ankles and saying the wrong thing. So whether I'm struggling really or I'm doing well and I'm just not regulated, I have to breathe. And I always make it a little game for myself. I like to count the number of inhales in 60 seconds and just take note of it, and then practice the kind of breathing that you offered us today, and just see if my breathing has decreased in the next 60 seconds. I want to offer that to everyone moving forward. If you're not really a breather or a meditator or someone who really likes to make even 5 minutes to do this kind of thing, which used to be me, I want to encourage you to make this a little game for yourself and practice what Erin has offered here. All of our specialists today, all of our panelists today can be found, their contact information can be found on my website where you registered. So I just want to say that before I forget. So you can get in touch with Erin if you have a question, but she offers through her own channel, which is clickable on my website, and her contact too. She offers this amazing deal. You can pay a yearly fee and you have access to everything that she offers. It's truly a gift for everybody. I want to open the floor now for Erin before we go to our general Q&A. If anyone has a resonance or a question for Erin, raise your hand and Leanne or I will call on you. Let's talk about chit chat, how you're feeling, or a specific question.
Can I just say thank you so much? That was lovely and beautiful and delicious to have those 10 breaths. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Janelle.
Thank you.
Come on, I know you guys don't all have it together. I am not the only one struggling. Let's get honest here, you guys. Come on.
Or it may not even be about struggling. It may just be about how you feel now after breathing.
Kristen has raised her hand.
Okay, we'll have Kristen and then we'll go to Michelle, and then we'll open the floor for general Q&A. Kristen McClanahan, you're still muted. There you go.
I tried to unmute and it muted. Okay, got it. Hi, everybody, and hi, Erin. Thank you so much. I want to say just for that, it's just so well put. What I really resonate is really this whole process since this whole virus began, and it really kind of put all of our lives in a, I call it kind of a 360. It really has changed. So I can really resonate with the feeling of that reptile, the survival feeling and that panic, which I think I think all of us had. It's really normal. I've, technically have lost my business and my work. But on the other hand, this has been a really amazing and transformative time for me. So, what you're sharing about just these simple techniques, and in fact, this is what I am doing, is part of my meditation practice has been my going back to some of my breathing techniques. So thank you for sharing that. But to going back to, I have been experiencing this incredible calm within. And getting in touch with what I feel is like this true connection to who I am, because I'm at home. In my case, I'm self-isolating. I live by myself, but I don't feel alone because I've been able to regularly with Zoom meetings keep up and keep connected. I'm maybe doing yoga and dance with some of my other colleagues and friends. So it's been good, but very transformative time. But I'm experiencing this amazing calm and peace this week. So I just wanted to share that. And
thank you. Thank you, Kristen. You're an acupuncturist in Lexington, yes? Lexington.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's nice to see you. I'm
Good
glad
to be here.
you're glad you're back again. Well, let's go to Michelle now. I know Michelle lives in Florida, but she's here in Lexington, Kentucky, sheltering in place. So Michelle, I saw you had your hand up earlier.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Erin, I just want to say thank you for somebody that doesn't do the yoga, doesn't breathe. I forgot to breathe. I don't know how in the world I've made it this far because I don't breathe. Thank you for that. And you said if you need to keep your eyes open, keep your eyes open. And I've always tend to close my eyes, which makes it harder to breathe, if that makes sense. So
It does.
I found myself closing my eyes towards the end, and it felt good. So I want to say thank you for that.
So you just calmed your nervous system enough. You took your reticular activating system and your amygdala and all the like smoke alarms in your brain. Sometimes when we close our eyes, we start to think, oh, everybody's looking at me. They're judging me. I'm doing this wrong. I don't know what's coming at me. A bear is getting ready to eat me. So sometimes closing our eyes instead of relaxing us takes us in the opposite direction. But keeping it open and then knowing as you follow your breath that you are controlling the breath instead of allowing it to control you. You got to that place where your brain was like, it's all good. This is safe. I feel good now. And so then you could close your eyes. What a gift, right? Just that tiny bit of awareness. That's a huge gift.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you all. And I want to open the floor now. We can't all be off mic at the same time because of the reverberation. So that's where the chat box comes in so handy. So type in your chat box to use Erin's eloquent symbolic language. What recharges my batteries is, and list one or two things that recharges your batteries in your chat box. What recharges my batteries is one or two things in the chat box. Just become conscious. Walking in nature, crafting, painting, nature, outdoors, enough sleep. Oh, I get you, sister. Breathing, yoga, wildlife, reading, meditation, time with animals. Sleep again. FaceTime with loved ones. Yes. Crocheting. Laughing. Yes. That's me too, for sure. Cooking, hiking. So I want to urge you every day to ask yourself the question, what recharges my batteries? What do I need today? Because all of us have at least five things in the medicine bag of tricks that offers a recharge. So pick one or two of all of those things, and it may change throughout the day. There are times in the day where I really need to sit and breathe, and times in the day I need to be out moving my body. Time in the day, first thing in the morning for me, really important yoga and some weight-bearing activity. And I want to also encourage you to think about the rhythm of your day, especially in this time of quarantine. Everything that we're talking about here is medicine for our lives, no matter what the season of our lives, no matter what the struggle or the celebration. This is a really healthy opportunity to think about how the rhythm of your day in this period of your life truly reflects the best health that you can provide yourself. So for me, first thing in the morning, I know that I need to move my body a little with weight-bearing exercise and yoga, and then I can sit in my meditation space and pray and meditate and journal and all of that. So that's always key for me. First, those things first thing in the morning. Then I feel a little more creative. I feel connected with everything that is. And then my day goes from there. So I want to encourage you to figure out what that is for you right now in this season of your life. To stay with what that is, and then to work with what will be later. Before I open the floor for any final words or questions, here is my book, The Heart of Leadership for Women, Cultivating a Sacred Space. I would so deeply appreciate it if you would review it on Amazon, because publishers around the world rely on Amazon metrics for deciding whether a book has feet, has wings. So if you download my book on your Kindle, or whether you buy it through your local bookstore, or whether you buy it through Amazon, if you review it, it would help me so very much. Again, all of our expert life livers today, their contact information can be found on my website where you registered. For next week, I have amazing panelists again, but of course my co-pilots, Dr. Janelle McNeal and Leanne. But next week are also wonderful panelists, and you can register. That link is already up for you. It's important to register so that I can send you the password for next week. I'm not sure week to week if it's going to change. It just depends on our Zoom platform. Right now, it's the same password every week, but let me know to expect you. We have friends around the world joining today. So I see Italy is represented here, Canada, the US, South Africa. Are there any other countries that I haven't named? Those of you who are present from outside of all those countries I mentioned, we would just love to acknowledge you. We're all in it together, and today is another beautiful example of the way that we all carry the wisdom. So I'm going to allow time now in our final minutes for any takeaway that you might have, or a specific question for Janelle or Emily or Erin. Just put your hand up and Leanne will call on you.
Right. Donna's at the top of the list.
Great.
Go ahead, Donna.
Hi. I just had a quick comment on Erin's breathing exercise. And maybe some of the rest of you also kind of noticed this, that as I was doing the 10 deep breaths, that it took me to about 7 before I kind of felt like that my body actually connected with my breathing, and that I felt like a little bit more relaxed within my own body. So that's the only comment I have.
Great. Okay, it looks like Fran's got her hand raised.
Erin, if you want to unmute yourself, you can respond. It looks like you want to. And then we'll go to Fran.
Yeah. So also normal, right? So many of the things that we usually are leaning into is our healing practices, right? Our, what Lisa calls our medical bag, are a little harder right now. We're just a little more distracted, a little more forgetful, a little more brain fog. You might not be sleeping quite as well. You might be having nightmares. I just want to normalize all of that for you, right? So it could be that tomorrow, if you did your take 10, on the second breath, you feel calm and grounded and rooted. And it could be that you get all the way to 10 and you're still all over the place. So you do it again. But thank you for that comment.
Okay, let's go to Fran.
I just wanted to say that that I appreciate the words that both about being kind to yourself, especially during this time, because some of us are in that fight and flight mode and some of us are not. And I find that I vacillate between both. Like I saw this funny thing on Facebook that just resonated with me about how someone said that their friends were all about like finishing that project and starting write their book and do all these wonderful things. And this person said, well, I just stared at my own leg for 30 minutes. So I can relate to that. And I can also relate to enjoying being at home more than I get to and doing those things that I love to do as well. So sometimes I'll stare at my leg and sometimes I'll make a great pair of earrings, and both are okay. So I like the idea that we should always be kind to ourselves.
And Fran, I love it that you said that, because I feel like there is room for all of these feelings. We all are going through moments of calm and moments of terror and moments, all these different feelings, but there's room for all of that. It's okay. All of those feelings have a place here.
That's right. And there's probably room for you to wear a pair of Fran's earrings from, you can get in touch with her on Facebook, The Beating Angel, because who doesn't need a pair of fabulous earrings in a time of quarantine, in a season of quarantine? Thank you for that. Before we ask for one more or two more people to input, who is here with a sister? Raise your hand. Keep your hand up because I'm going to scroll through and see. Who's here with a sister? Who is here with a mother or daughter? Keep your hands up. Love that. Who's here with a best friend? Yay. Oh my gosh, isn't that just fabulous? Who is here without knowing anyone else? You just signed on today and you didn't know anyone else. Love that. And look, we're all in it together, aren't we? We are all in it together. Judy Heydrich, would you put your hand up? You are going to be on our fabulous panel next week. There's Judy. And she is also an inspiring leader. I don't think Valerie is here today. She's also one of our new panelists. But next week, these weeks are going pretty much predictably in terms of everyone feeling inspired and nourished by being here, and that it's providing a little reprieve from everything else going on. So I hope that you'll register for next week. Any final words? Anyone have a hand up? Let's go to Karen. But take yourself off mute. There you go.
Michelle is doing everything because I tell Lisa I have a half a brain, and that's the right brain, and it's empty. The left brain is empty. So Lisa, of course, you know that you're one of my favorite people and my inspiration, and I love you very much. And I escaped from Florida because my children decided that this is where I should be, back in Lexington, and they made it possible. I was there sheltering in place, and actually I found peace for about 3 weeks because I move around a lot, let's put it that way. And I loved the fact that I had no place to go. I was calm. I really was calm. But I was trying to keep somebody who isn't very well happy. And I have a daughter-in-law, an ex-daughter-in-law, but she's still my child. And who I can't fry the right egg, but she can fry all the right eggs. So she's our chief cook, and she's a wonderful, wonderful chef. And she's feeding him very, very well, and he's eating and looking better. And I'm very, very grateful to be here. And I just wish everybody good health and some peace and serenity, and a blessed Easter to all of you who observe Easter. And Lisa, I love you so much.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you to all of you for cultivating a sacred space here today by showing up. It's not even what anyone says in particular that makes the space so special. It's that each of us have been willing to show up with the wealth of experience, emotional bandwidth, and willingness to see and hear each other that makes it sacred and helps us grow toward what it is that we want. I send blessings from here to all of you for the coming week. And I invite you to email me at lisamillerbeautifulday@gmail.com if there is a topic you'd like covered. I'm setting up the panel teams for the coming weeks. Leanne has agreed to help me through the end of May as my tech holder of sacred space so that I can show up fully for you. So we've got shows going until the end of May at this point, every Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time, so that we can gather in community in this ongoing sisterhood. Lisa Miller, beautiful day at Gmail, if there's a topic you'd like to cover. Until next week, let's say whoever wants to be in a photograph, keep yourself on video at this point, and Leanne will take a picture of us, and maybe we put our hands up to symbolize that we got each other's backs. We got each other's backs. Leanne, can you get this photo?
Yeah.
Fabulous. And we'll even screen to the other screen. Wonderful. Thank you all. Mwah. I hope to hear from you. Please, please get in touch with me just to say how you felt about today's gathering, what you liked, what you'd like more of. Until next time. See ya. Thank you. Erin, I'm going to give you a call.